Hello, welcome to my book channel. Okay, it's not a book channel, it's a whatever I want it to be channel, but first I'm going to be talking about books, which is so exciting because it means maybe I will stop forcing my Sims viewers to listen to my ramblings about stuff that I've been reading lately. And if you're excited to hear my thoughts on a specific book on this list, I'm gonna put everything in the chapters below so you can skip right to the juicy part if that's what you so wish to do. Normally, I feel like booktubers give a little disclaimer at the front about like, if you like something that I hate, that's okay. And I'm just not gonna insult your intelligence like that. You're smart enough to know that I'm not God, I'm just a guy on the internet. You are allowed to hate something that I like, just like I am allowed to hate something that you love. That's the beauty of being human. And I think the beauty of these videos, how boring would these videos be if everyone agreed? This is a spoiler for your review. I'm not going to be talking about specifics about anything that happened in any of these particular books. I'm going to be talking about the vibes, how I felt about the book, and my rating, and the type of reader that I would recommend each of these books to. The first book I want to talk about is In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. And this is a memoir, and I have yet to read a memoir that I didn't love. This book is a memoir that kind of chronicles this relationship that goes really south. It turns into this really abusive relationship pretty quickly, and I think that this is such an important thing to write a book about. We don't talk a lot about how queer relationships, especially those between women, can be abusive. And I think Mikado does a really good job of even dissecting that idea in and of itself, of like how kind of taboo it is to be in a lesbian relationship that is abusive, and how you don't want to give the LGBT community a bad name if you come out about your abuse, but also this is your reality and this is kind of what's happening to you, and it also needs to be spoken about because you want other queer people to know that this can happen to them too. The book is written in this more kind of artsy type of way, which I love. I love anything artsy, a little bit metaphorical, a little bit more. I'm an art major at my core. I loved art theory classes, and so to find like the artistic part of literature in books like this is just so absolutely lovely. It's written in these little vignettes almost, kind of discussing different moments or relationships with other pieces of media or different tropes, and it all ties beautifully together. So it'll have the title and then a little paragraph or maybe up to a couple pages kind of expanding on what the title really means. So it'll say Dream House as inciting incident, and then it goes on to discuss how she met this woman. Or it'll say Dream House as memory palace, and it'll just kind of explore the idea of like memory. And I don't know, I'm explaining it so horribly, but it's such a good book. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. It was wonderful. I flew through it. It's a really quick read as well, so if you are looking for something that's like nice and quick, and I think anyone who likes kind of interesting styles being played with in writing would also really adore this book. It does, like I said, discuss an abusive relationship in pretty thorough detail, so obviously heed that warning if you need to, but I also think that this would be really great for anyone who's interested in queer identity and culture and how that kind of intersects with, you know, abusive relationships and the way that we as queer people kind of navigate those situations. I don't know, I really love this. This is like the best book that I've read in a while. But once again, I have yet to read a memoir that I didn't like. I just love memoirs. I think they're always across the board just super interesting. And I did finish In the Dream House in late September, but I really wanted to talk about it, so I just kind of snuck it into this video. But my first real read of the winter starts with Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. I believe this book is Zevin's debut novel. Am I wrong? I might be wrong about that, so don't quote me on that. It's about these friends. Hi, Watson. What are your opinions on the book? Wow, crazy. I didn't know you knew how to read. It's about these friends who met in a children's hospital when they were pretty young, and they bonded over this arcade game that was in this like game room of this children's hospital. And they kind of fall out of contact with one another after a falling out that they have when they were teenagers. And the book kind of begins when they meet again as college students, and the book flips POVs between both of them. Sadie is going to MIT, and she's kind of pursuing video games and taking classes on them and making little ones. She ends up giving a CD to Sam for him to try out and play this game called Solution. And Sam plays it and is like enamored by it, and he becomes enamored with this idea idea of making a video game with Sadie. He tracks her down and they end up doing it. And that's how the book kind of starts. And it chronicles them making games together and going throughout their lives. Like, the book literally covers so much of their lives. Like, it just keeps going and going and going in, like, such a beautiful way. I think it is so realistic in how it portrays their relationships and kind of the issues that they have and the moments of tenderness that they have with one another. And it portrays their relationship just so beautifully in the way that it is, like, platonic but maybe a bit complicated, and the relationships with all the other people in this book as well. One of my favorite characters is absolutely Mark's. I know I said I wasn't going to discuss anything specific in these books so that I wouldn't spoil anything for you, but I did want to read this one little section in here. I don't think it's too bad of a spoiler. It is between two side characters, and it mainly is kind of about this real life thing that happened. This book takes place in, like, real America, and, like, real things that actually happened also happen in this book. And the kind of background for it is when Gavin Newsom was marrying people in San Francisco before gay marriage was actually legalized around the country. And then the California Supreme Court subsequently threw out all of those marriage licenses that he gave out. If you want to skip this part, I'll put a timestamp right there that you can skip to, but I just wanted to read this section because I think about this part so frequently. Sorry for my German. Zuiskement is the feeling of being alone even when you're with other people. Simon turned to look in his husband's eyes. Before I met you, I felt this constantly. I felt it with my family, my friends, and every boyfriend I ever had. I felt it so often, I felt it was the nature of living. To be alive was to accept that you were fundamentally alone. Simon's eyes were moist. I know it's impossible, and I know you don't care about German words or marriage. All I can say is, I love you, and thank you for marrying me anyway. By the time Counterpart High dropped in August, Simon and Anne were no longer married. California Supreme Court declared that the city of San Francisco had overstepped, and the marriages that had been performed based on those licenses were now void. Strangely, Anne took it harder than Simon. Anne pulled the blanket over his head. At first, he had wanted to call their congressman, go to Sacramento to protest, write angry letters and op-eds, but in the end, he had to resign himself to the reality that he wasn't a protester, an organizer, or even a political person. After he'd missed a week of work, Sadie drove to Anne's house to see him. I didn't think it would feel different to be married, Aunt told her, but somehow it did. And now it feels as if I've been tricked. Think about it all the time. Like, all the time. Like, just what that would have been like to have been married to a person that you love so much, and to just have the government step in and be like, no, never mind. I think moments like that really show, like, the humanity of this book and how accurate it is to real people and real life, because I remember reading that scene and just feeling gut punched, and I still, every single time I think about it, feel a little bit gut punched still. Like, as a queer person, I remember gay marriage getting legalized. That happened in my lifetime. I remember in elementary school having debates where I had to, pick a side on if I thought gay marriage should be allowed or not. And then as a kid have to debate that in my classroom setting. In a really conservative small town, mind you. And it's a thing that we totally take for granted now, but I think we really forget how recent that is. Like, that is within my lived memory, which is crazy because I'm 24. That's not a lot of time at all. And in the current times also, I just think about this scene and I think about that reality, and it kind of just eats at me. I don't know. This is less commentary about the book and more just this topic. And I don't know. This book. I'm gonna say this again, but I think this is gonna go for any book I talk about. Heed the trigger warnings if that's something that you need to do. There is some heavy stuff in this book. There is a sequence that made me cry. It was some of the most beautiful writing that I have ever read in my life, and I think those of you who've read this book know what sequence I'm talking about. I will say the only thing about this book is the very end lost me a little bit. It was so close to a perfect 5 out of 5 stars for me, and there's this sequence at the very end that I just got a little bit bored while reading. It kind of shifts into this other thing for a little bit, and I understand what was trying to be done in that sequence. I just didn't really totally feel like it worked for me, at least. But yeah, I love this book, and I think anybody who loves books exploring relationships and time and video games would really love this book. I don't think you need to be super knowledgeable on video games or anything about them to read this book. I think the book does a really good job at exploring that idea from a really outsider perspective. So I don't think you like need to know anything about video games to enjoy this. And also, I will say, in some way, some of the video game talk is a little bit like overdone at points. You know, they'll use it as like, oh, I just need to level up, and it's like a little cringe, but it's not enough to make the book any less good for me. Really, the thing that kind of did it for me was like that part at the very end. But like I said, it was nearly a 5 out of 5 stars. I don't say that to say that this was a bad book at all. This is a 4.75 stars out of me. It was so close to perfect. I think for me, the best thing about this book is the way that it explores the process of making a piece of art and that collaboration you have with another person and how your kind of ideas come to fruition. Like when they're making their first game together, it describes where their inspirations come from, and it was so cool for me to read because a lot of the inspirations were things that I know about, and things that I'm also super inspired by. I found that to be probably one of the best aspects of this book, is just these two people and how they creatively kind of work together. Next up, I have Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield. This one's a nice short one. You can get through it pretty quickly. It's only 228 pages. And this one is a horror book, and I'm getting into horror in literature. I love horror movies, but I've never really tried to read horror in books at all until this book is probably like my first real attempt. I did try and read Bury Your Gaze, and I kind of DNF'd it, but I'm gonna come back to it, don't worry. This book follows Lee, a marine biologist, and Miri, her wife, as they kind of navigate this mission gone wrong. Lee is sent on this deep sea mission, like submersible type deep sea, like they are down there, and it goes so wrong. She was meant to be there for like 2 weeks, and she ends up being there for like months, I believe. And things are just like going really wrong. And I love the way Armfield wrote the kind of more visceral aspects of this. Like, she talks a lot about things as like feelings regarding teeth, like how she can feel her gums, and like it's so beautiful. I just absolutely adored the teeth as metaphor thing that kind of recurred throughout the book. I found it so haunting. I'm particularly susceptible to teeth horror, so maybe that was just me, but I found it so beautiful. I think one of the most common quotes that people pull out of this book is this one. This is a less visceral one, so I'm gonna read it. To know the ocean, I have always felt, is to recognize the teeth it keeps half hidden. It is really vibey writing, so if you're looking for a book with a ton of answers, this one's probably not for you. I can see how people would be really unhappy with the ending or just the general way that this book goes. It's a lot of vibes and not a lot of conclusions or answers or explicit spelling out of what's happening necessarily. Like, this book isn't the type of mystery that gets solved, if that makes any sense. Like, it's kind of open-ended and up for interpretation, and I think for some people that can be really frustrating. I'm the type of person where a book can get me pretty far on vibes alone, and I gave this a 4 stars. I think it was really good. I really enjoyed the writing. It's just so beautiful. I really want to read some other books by Julia Armfield now because I just adore the writing style. I wish that I felt more personally invested in the characters than maybe I did. They had their moments for sure, but I didn't feel super, like, buying into their relationship. And maybe this is because I read it directly after Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, and so it was really hard to follow up a story that spans years and years of a relationship building to, a 228-page novel that explores this kind of already established relationship. And we certainly get flashbacks about their relationship before everything kind of went down. But I just did not completely feel that it was entirely fleshed out in a way that would make it so much more impactful for me. Night Circus by Erin Morganson. I struggled with this book. I first started this book, I got about 100 pages in, and then I set it down and only came back to it, and kind of just gave it a shot all the way through again, and I will say, slow to start. It takes a little bit to get into this. I know everybody loves and adores this book. I found it really slow at the beginning. And then after it picks up, it is a really easy read. It's beautiful. It is reading a daydream, truly. Honestly, how do I even explain this book? It's about a circus, and it takes a while to get to that circus, I will say. And I don't know that I should explain much more of this plot to you. This is a book that you've probably heard about, right? Like, this isn't your first time having somebody hold this book and talk at you about it. Like, you kind of get a sense for what this is. It's a fantasy, it's a romance, and it has a ton of characters who are all kind of lovable, and it's following all these different stories, and the stories just come together so beautifully.
My absolute favorite character in this book is a character named Bailey, and he's this boy who's kind of like freshly kind of coming of age, and he's kind of been given like this life path by his family when we meet him. They really want him to just tend to the family farm and just do that with his life. Whereas his grandmother has kind of been encouraging him to go to school instead at this prestigious college. And I think that's just such a relatable thing to me, this idea of a character who kind of feels almost like they have these preset life paths that they have to choose from, but then like none of which are actually Bailey's own. And him getting to kind of make these decisions was really cool. Yeah, Bailey definitely like one of my favorite characters in this whole book for me. In this truly just like deeply relatable type of way.
I did really love this book, and it is honestly, I will say, criminal that it doesn't have a much better cover. No offense to the person who designed the cover, just my taste is different than your taste. However, this is such a beautifully described book. I feel like the cover could have been just like absolutely delicious, beautiful, and instead we just have like, it's okay. I adored the omni point of view in this book. That is something that I always think I don't like until I read a book that does it well, and then I realize that I think it's like one of my favorite things in a book. When you get a zoom out snapshot of how other people are kind of interpreting what's happening with your characters, delicious. I love when the narrator tells you something that maybe the characters don't know. And I loved hopping around between all these different people and all these point of views and watching the story kind of intertwine together. It's really like a masterful piece of writing, like to be able to think about all those threads and then tie them all together so beautifully. And it kind of hops back and forth in time for a little bit. I do wish we spent a little bit more time with two of the characters in particular. I'm not even gonna say, because I feel like it's all spoilers with this book because of how kind of ambiguous everything starts out as. I think you can kind of figure out what's gonna happen pretty early on, so it's not like it's a super surprising thing. I don't really want to spoil it. There's a romance in this book, and I just didn't find it the most fleshed out either. I wanted it to be just like a little bit more. I didn't not believe in it. I think I love love enough that it was easy enough to believe it in this book. But I do think we could have fleshed it out a little bit more, and it would have been that much more romantic to me. I gave this a 4.5 stars when I originally reviewed it, and honestly, I don't really know what I would rate it now. I might even drop it to like a 4 stars. The thing is that I feel that this writing is maybe objectively better than some other books that I have rated. My rating scale is based off purely vibes, so I am allowed to rate this whatever I want. I do think I'm gonna rate this like a 4 stars. I did really like it, and I thought that it was beautiful, and it was like daydreaming and all the things that I said. But just vibes-wise, yeah, I don't think it's like super revolutionary of a book for me. I think maybe partially I was having really high expectations because everyone around me loves this book so much. This is my boyfriend's favorite book, like of all time. He had such glowing reviews about it, but I think maybe my expectations were a little bit too high because now when I think back about this book, yeah, I'm not really blown away. I think it's like a solid 4 stars. It's really good. I really enjoyed it, but I don't think about it ever in the way that I think about books that are maybe 5 or almost 5 stars. Next, I fell down the Hunger Games rabbit hole and I reread the entire Hunger Games trilogy. And oh my god, Suzanne Collins is a genius. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. I think that this is a perfect book, and I think Catching Fire is the best sequel that has ever existed, and I also really love Mockingjay. Do I even need to tell you what this is about? If you haven't read The Hunger Games yet, you need to. It's a modern-day classic. It's about this girl named Katniss, and she lives in a dystopian post-climate change riddled America in this country called Panem. And Panem is split into 12 districts. Katniss is from District 12, and there's this thing called the Hunger Games where they send all the teenagers into an arena and make them fight to the death. It is truly, like, so revolutionary. I took notes, which I don't do. I don't annotate my books. I just read them. But there were so many interesting political things in this book that I did not pick up on as a teenager, but rereading as an adult was like such an amazing experience to be able to see the way that Suzanne Collins has truly thought about Panem and this government. Honestly, like, this was a better read as an adult than it was when I was a kid. I first read this in 5th grade, and I really loved the romance aspect, I really liked the action, and I also obviously understood that it was like a critique of government, especially bad government. But as an adult, the way that this trilogy explores like what means justify a war and how war is kind of sometimes this fruitless endeavor where people are going to die. And I'm going to say this because this is so well known, but there is a love triangle in this book, and people talk about how they hate love triangles, blah blah blah. I think that this is one of the instances where a love triangle is done so beautifully because it's a metaphor for how Katniss is kind of feeling about the situations happening around her. You know, Peeta is symbolizing this peace and this part of her soul that like doesn't want to do any of the stuff that they have to do to survive in this horrible dystopian setting. Whereas Gale is this part that like wants to fight back and stand up for what's right and like fight against the machine, but just those two characters as a metaphor for Katniss.
It has like the most gut-wrenching portrayal of PTSD I have ever seen in fiction literature. Like, undoubtedly, Katniss is a heavily traumatized main character. I think that a lot of that stuff kind of crops up in Catching Fire, and I think that is one of the things that makes this such a great sequel. It shows you exactly how the events from this novel have like impacted her character. Like, you can see plain as view how these characters and their experiences kind of shape their personalities and change fundamentally like who they are at their cores.
And yeah, the way that Suzanne Collins writes about the Capitol and about the things happening so vividly reminds you of how America is the capital and how the kind of exploitation of the global south is the way that we treat all the districts in this book.
I did want to point out some more of the political commentary in this book. I put this note in a scene where Katniss is kind of having her first encounter in the actual arena, having to fight other tributes, and I wrote that it's an analogy for class consciousness. Districts are literally infighting one another. Like, they are literally being divided by districts and then made to literally fight each other. Like, it's kind of so literal that it hits you over the head with it, but like, not.
And in that way, it was just such a wonderful read as an adult, like truly essential reading, especially in the times that we're currently in, which I know is like such an overstated kind of trope of like, oh, we're in scary times, like da-da-da, but truly, like, there are so many parallels. And I do want to say that I see people talking about how, like, oh, times are starting to really look like the Hunger Games. Dystopias are meant to critique the current world. They're not meant to predict a future where things may go bad. They're critiques of the now, and this critique of the now only gets more and more relevant the longer I'm alive.
There is not a single thing that occurs, not a single action taken that is not thoroughly planned and not thoroughly foreshadowed or thoroughly thought through by Collins. Like, you can just tell that so much care was taken into every single event that happens throughout the trilogy. And I know that there's some controversial stuff in Mockingjay, some decisions that people don't like, and I, can't talk too much specifically since this is a non-spoiler review, but I will say that I stand by all the choices in this book. I think they were all incredibly necessary choices, and I think the way that we're shown that people needlessly die in war is like super important, because it's this trilogy about this revolution, right? And how there is a justification for a certain amount of fighting back, of violence, but then it also has the ability at the same time to show you the flip side of that, where this might be a cause that's super worth it, but also a lot of people are just gonna die, and it's not gonna be monumental, and it's not gonna be like they're martyrs for the cause. Like, 1 second they're there, and the next that person might be gone.
But yeah, this trilogy has the most lovable characters. It is just truly like masterful writing, and I gave all of these a 5 out of 5 stars, obviously. The last thing I read this winter is the prequel to The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and I have to say that this disappointed me. I'm really sorry, but it did. I think this book suffered from the success of The Hunger Games in a couple of different ways. I think it was really smart to do a prequel versus trying to extend the trilogy. I think when you try and extend a really popular book that you didn't have plans for extending, I think that's when you get like really bad sequels, and I think going back in time and explaining in more detail the history behind the now that is in the original books is a much smarter way to go about it and to give you more kind of world building and more just context for what's happening later. And honestly, everything I liked about the book was the world building, was the context, was the additional information we get about the capital and how the games kind of started, and how it didn't start as what the original trilogy kind of portrays it as. It's not this big fanciful thing. How it started really as just like a football arena that a bunch of kids were just dumped into, and there wasn't even audio, and how the game makers really didn't like do much. And I didn't mention that this is through the point of view of Cornelius Snow, the big bad evil president in the original trilogy, which I love, like an evil villain origin story as much as the next person, but I don't know, I found reading Snow's POV like kind of insufferable, because he's just such an explainer. He just yaps and yaps and explains things so much to you. Like, this book did a level of hand-holding that the original trilogy doesn't, and it can, yes, be explained by a difference in the character's POV. The original trilogy is written in first person, and Katniss isn't super literal. She's not like explaining the meanings behind songs to you. But in this book, Snow spends so much time being like, oh, this song, let's go through it word by word, and I'm gonna tell you exactly what the song is saying. Whereas in the trilogy, like, Katniss sings a song and then doesn't explain the meaning behind you, and you can kind of think in your head about the metaphor that the song is bringing to that book. This, yeah, it holds your hand a little bit too much, and I understand that Snow was just like that or whatever. At times, it felt like it was insulting my intelligence, and I really hated that about it, that it felt like it needed to explain it to me because otherwise I wouldn't get it, because I'm not smart enough. And I get that this is a YA, but I think young adults are smart, and I don't think that we should treat them like they're stupid. And sometimes, and I'm being really harsh here, but that really irritated me about this book, that I really felt like it felt this need to just explain things to me. This book was written in third person as well, and so I feel like there's even less of an excuse for it to be doing that hand-holding, because, like, we're not even really directly getting Snow's interior monologue. It's written in third person, so a lot of him explaining things could have been left out. But then the way that it's written is written like it should have just been first person, because it is his interior monologue the whole way through. So that perspective switch I don't really understand. I almost wish that this was in first person, or honestly what I really wish this book was, and once I had this idea in my head, I could not get it out, and it really did make me lose a lot of enjoyment for this book. The idea that this book could be through a different POV than Snow's. Like, if this book chronicled Snow's actions through the point of view of everyone else in this novel and how they were interpreting his actions, I think that would have been so much better of a read. Snow is just kind of insufferable to read, and not in like a, ooh, he's a bad guy so I don't like to read him kind of way. Just in, he waffles back and forth a lot, he has this internal dichotomy, which is interesting, yes, but the way that it kind of reads to me was just, yeah, explaining everything to you like you're a dumb idiot, which, yes, is his character, but just doesn't make for an enjoyable read when it's like that. And then also, he'll decide something, and then out of nowhere, he'll like go and do this other thing, like he'll have these feelings that mean like one thing, but then his actions, he'll just like do a 180 on it. I just think it would have been so much more interesting and better fleshed out if it was another character kind of watching his actions and how everyone else kind of interpreted him. Because really, this story is also about how all these different people shaped Snow into kind of who he is. Not to say that Snow doesn't have his own culpability in, the events of the trilogy later, or even the events of this book itself, but this book explores how this kind of propaganda he's been given from the Capitol shapes his point of view, and how his teachers and the different people that he interacts with really also shape his point of view. And this book really explores the idea of like control and the idea of like, if you don't control people, are things going to devolve into chaos. It also dragged at points. It dragged at the very beginning, and then about like 2/3 of the way through, it really starts to drag around there. I got to the 2/3 of the way through point. I got to the last part, the Peacekeeper, and I thought to myself, really? Like, there's more that I have to get through? Like, we're doing this now? This is a long book. It's like 513-ish pages. The original books in the trilogy are much shorter, and I don't think that books need to be short by any means, but I do think that this book suffered from its length. I think Suzanne Collins is now such like a renowned author that maybe the editor felt like they didn't really want to critique her vision too much. And I think that they should have, because I think that if they really culled this down and collapsed a lot of it, it would have read a lot better, and it wouldn't have suffered as much of the things that I was kind of talking about the hand-holding and all that, because I think that's a lot of the stuff that maybe got culled from the original trilogy. And I'm completely speculating here. I see this book 200 pages longer than all the other books in the trilogies, and it feels slow at points, it feels hand-holding at points, and I really think that if this book was trimmed down, it could be more on par with the originals. I did like reading this book, but mainly I liked it for what I said, which is just like giving a good backdrop to the Hunger Games and giving you kind of a history and world building in kind of maybe almost like a fan servicey type of way. And I don't say that with a negative connotation. That's not a negative thing, I don't think. At least not all the time. And my initial inclination was to rate this pretty high. The more and more I sit on this book and how it made me feel, the lower and lower I want to score this. I think I originally scored it like a 4.25 and then dropped it down to like a 3.5, where I think is where it sits now on my story graph. Yeah, right now it's at a 3.5. I'm gonna go out on a limb and I'm gonna drop it down to a 3, I think. The things that I didn't like about this book truly, like, the more I think about it, outweigh the things that I did like about this book. And I think I am inclined to rate it so high because the original trilogy was so good, and I do like that this book gives me more context for that trilogy. But I just had so many problems with it. I don't know. I wanted to like it so bad, hence my original inclination to rate it so high, but I think this is a 3 stars for me. I'm really sorry.
I don't really want to say too much more because I fear half this video is just me ranting about this one book. However, I do want to kind of defend my honor a little bit. I know I spent like all of the review for this kind of talking about everything I didn't like about it, and I still rated it 3 stars, which I think some people would argue is pretty high. To me, that's like a C. And this book is like a C. And there's one character in here in particular who I did really love. I really loved Janus. Is that how you say his name? He honestly kept me there most of the way. Like, I so badly just wanted a crumb of his point of view.
And I am so excited to read Sunrise on the Reaping, which comes out very shortly, in like 18 days at the time I'm recording this. I'm gonna try and get my hands on a copy of that like ASAP to read, but I don't want to buy it because it's a hardcover, and I, if you can't tell, prefer paperbacks immensely. They're easier to read. Hardcovers are just so heavy and like hurt my little hands. I don't know, I get like nerve pain from holding the book for too long. So if you want to see what I think about Sunrise on the Reaping, definitely stick around. I will include it in a wrap-up in the future to also kind of give you like a sneak peek of other things that I'm reading right now. I read Remarkably Bright Creatures, and I'm reading H is for Hawk, as well as This Is How You Lose the Time War. So all those books and more will definitely be in my spring wrap-up next time that I do this. I do really want to hear from you though, like, what did you read this last winter? What did you love? What did you hate? If you could put like non-spoiler reviews in the comments, I would love to read them, because I need more books to put on my TBR always, even though my TBR is like 200 and something books long. I really am just like a booktuber stereotype, and it's my first video, so. Yeah, wow, okay. As always, thank you for watching.